He got into Stanford with full scholarship. Stanford is the most difficult college to get into. They want to see achiever, a consistent achiever throughout their life. If you're not from any of those backgrounds, let's say so-called high-impact backgrounds, portray it in the way that admission committee wants to look at.
What kind of work profiles or backgrounds do top B schools look for in an MBA applicant?
Right. So one, a normal thing that comes to mind is people from consulting background, Big Four and, other, let's say, boutique consulting firms. Typically 30 to 40% people who enter into MBA are from that background. Okay. So if you're from that background, any college you can target. In terms of the work profile needed. So, in such kind of a profile, I always advise people applying R1 and maximum by R2, not by R3, because R3 is like more of a diversity thing. So it's like a quota of 35 to 40% people who will be coming from consulting background. So that quota typically is filled by R2, like a round 2 application. So if you're coming from that background, apply by R2 latest. Then there are 2-3 very, very sought after profiles in top big B schools, let's say Harvard, Stanford, those kind of colleges we're talking about. Okay. So if you're coming from a, let's say, social impact sector, okay. So let's say you worked in Niti Aayog. Okay. If somebody worked in Niti Aayog for 2-3 years and worked on some really good projects, or let's say some government ministry. So let's say there was one guy who worked in Ministry of Rural Development as a fellow. So those people are involved in policy making that has the potential to impact millions of lives. Those programs are really sought after programs.
Okay.
So if you are from that kind of background, you do a decent score in GMAT, GRE, and obviously you have to work properly on your applications. Those people are almost a guarantee, in terms of admit from top B schools, including scholarships as well.
Including scholarships,
yes.
Yeah.
So the guy I was taking example of, he got into Stanford with full scholarship. Stanford is the most difficult college to get into, just because it has lesser number. The acceptance rate is like 5%. 10,000 people apply, or around 450, 500 is the batch strength. So 5% people get into that. So, and, getting admit plus scholarship. So you can imagine what kind of, the kind of profile or the kind of impact the profile can make. Okay. Other than that, they want to see achiever, a consistent achiever throughout their life. The B schools, in the candidate. So if achieved anything of significant impact in your life, be it sports, music, anything. For example, somebody played, let's say, any sports at national level. If somebody is an Olympian, they'll pick him, they'll offer an Uber ride for that person. It's that easy, okay? But somebody, let's say, played at national level, it shows consistency, focus, achiever. It's much easier to get into that, okay? If you can't show any achievement at work level, you have to show it at some other area, and some significant achievement. It's not that I played 10 tournaments at state level. It doesn't cut the thing, okay? So showing achievement in any field, that matters. Okay. Now, if you're not from any of those backgrounds, let's say so-called high-impact backgrounds, if you're a normal, if you work, let's say a lot of CAs apply to those colleges, a lot of CAs get into that. Okay. So whatever role you are doing right now, after that, you have to choose some significant impact that you want to make in terms of your post-MBA goals, let's say, okay, long-term, short-term. For example, somebody wants to get into sustainability, risk management, managing uncertainty, those kind of things. You have to show that you have the skills to, transferable skills to that kind of a role from your existing role. So it all boils down to your applications. That's a biggest part of your entire journey, the college essays. So these are the profiles that, end of the day, these profiles do matter, but you have to portray it in the way that admission committee wants to look at. That's another significant part of the entire process.